Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, and we have a great show today. My good friend Jeff Cardozo, who is a broadcaster for the University of Florida. He used to be a terrific pitcher for the Gators, and we'll have his story coming in just a few minutes. Our law firm, Meldon Law, has been in the North Central Florida area now for 52 years as of November. So we're very excited. I opened up my practice in November of 1971 in a small office in Gainesville, right near the courthouse, and we have been serving the citizens of North Central Florida all the way from the villages up to I-75 north of Lake City for the past 52 years. And we're very proud of what we've accomplished in helping the people who have been seriously injured in an accident and want to get back on the road to recovery. You can give us a call at the office, 352-373-8000, or go to meldonlaw.com. Our law firm is very proud that we are focusing on creating a top-notch client experience. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of people who switch from other law firms to Meldon Law, and they said it's night and day between the experience they have coming to Meldon Law and going to the prior law firms that they had. Usually that's why they leave. They see the advertisements on TV for these other law firms promising them all this money. They don't deliver, and then they have to come to Meldon Law to put their case back together and make sure that they get a fair shake from the insurance company. So remember, Meldon Law is here to help. If you're seriously injured, let us know. And we're very proud that a large portion of our revenues goes back into the community. Just shows like this, our radio show, our newsletter, our Scholar Athlete of the Week award. We're constantly doing things for the community and in other ways as well. My wife, Patricia, and I have been the chair of the Alzheimer's Association for the past 2 years. I've been a supporter for the Tom Petty Festival since they started after he passed in 2017. We support a lot of organizations. Probably in the last 2 years, we've probably supported over 100 different community organizations, all the way from Ocala up to Lake City and the areas surrounding them. So if you want help and you want a first-class Ritz-Carlton experience, you come to Meldon Law and we will deliver. Couple other things going on. University of Florida and Florida State. I mean, that is going to be a barn burner. The University of Florida football team has had 3 near misses. Arkansas, then LSU, and then this past weekend against Missouri. Could have won all 3 of those games. We lost them. Certainly Arkansas and Missouri this weekend were what you would call narrow defeats, and the Gator football team is really improving. So let's go support them. And before the game, FSU Fan Fest starting at 4 p.m. So the game's a 7 p.m. game starting at 4 p.m. We're going to have a big party, a Fan Fest right outside of the O-Dome. We're giving away free gifts to everybody. You get to spin the Wheel of Fortune and figure out what kind of gift you're going to get. And we have some really cool gifts for the Florida State game. A couple other things. In Lake City, November 25th from 10 to 4 p.m. at the Village Square Plaza where our law office is located. It's right by US 90 and I-75. There's going to be a small business festival, and we're partnering up with all the small businesses in Columbia County to host this festival. There'll be a variety of vendors, games, food, sample, homemade pastry, just in time for the holidays. Also, a couple weeks after that, we're having our holiday party in Lake City at a club called Prohibition, and some friends of ours are involved there, and they do a great job. It's a lot of fun. Live music. Come and join us 5:30 till 9, December 7th. Remember, it's Pearl Harbor Day. And we're going to be hosting the annual Community Appreciation Holiday Party. So come celebrate. Live music is going to be performed by Josh Nettles. And we're going to have open bar and great food. So come and join us for the holiday season. If you want free tickets for the Gator basketball game, you're just in the nick of time because the season just started, and Meldon Law has a great array of tickets that we are giving away to people that go to our Facebook page, Meldon Law, and just go to Meldon Law Facebook, and you'll see a bunch of great opportunities to win seats to go to the basketball games. I know we have a blast going. I'm really blessed. I got 2 seats right behind the Gator bench, and I can actually see Coach Todd Golden drawing up plays and stuff like that during breaks in the action. So we're big fans. You'll see me there, but we got really good seats available for everyone. Join. You will eventually win, I promise. Just follow us on Facebook. So that's what's going on in our neck of the woods. There's a lot going on as well in Ocala. We're going to be involved in a lot of the festivals and celebrations between Thanksgiving and the New Year's. So the best place to go is Facebook, though, because that's where we list everything that we're doing in Ocala, Gainesville, Lake City, and you want to be part of it because it's a lot of fun. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back on Meldon Law and Friends.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
The Kiera Grace Foundation proudly presents An Evening with Tim Tebow, Thursday, November 30th at the Touchdown Terrace at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Experience a once-in-a-lifetime VIP meet and greet with Tim. Hear his heartfelt stories and his unyielding dedication to the most vulnerable. With your support, we can extend the reach of the Kiera Grace Foundation to save precious lives in Latin America. Get your ticket before they sell out. Don't miss your chance to meet Tim Tebow, be inspired, and make a tangible difference.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Carey allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was going to see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're going to have a great experience there. And I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 2 herniated discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Call Meldon Law right now.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again.
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Somebody hit us.
Here we go again.
Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. And today I have a good friend of mine, Jeff Cardozo, with me. And welcome to the show, Jeff.
Jeffrey, good to always be here. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, I just wanted to talk about, what's going on in the world of Jeff Cardozo.
Yeah.
Tell me since I've talked to you last, there's a lot going on. So
Yeah, a lot of changes. Well, I've always been somebody that wants to work, loves to work, and I think just always trying to find things like you do, just to help the community, be a part of this community, see what you can do. A big passion of mine was running Ironwood Golf Course for 20 plus years, and it's just I think it got to the point where some things were changing, and there just seemed like maybe as much passion and care for some of the things that we were doing. So it was probably time to go, and ended up leaving there. I took a job with UF Health doing some business development for Orthopedics, which is getting me to stay in the sports world, be a part of all that other stuff. But yeah, I'll never be able to give up the broadcast side and Gator stuff and the radio show. And even though it's 80 hours, it seems it's fun. It's and that's what you got to do with life, right? Is have some fun.
Absolutely. So, I'm 79 years old now, right?
Crazy.
And I love working, right? When people use the retirement word for around me, I just give them a big,
That's right.
Get away.
Yeah.
Get away. Look, I'm very blessed. I get to take a lot of vacations, do a lot of neat things, and it's fun. And I think it's a good lesson for all of you that are listening or watching that if you're passionate about something, keep in that direction.
Yeah.
Because if you're good at something and you're having fun doing it, there's no limitation on age. You can have a great time, and I think you're a good example of kind of moving your career into some different directions. So let's talk about all the announcing stuff you do. I know you were a star baseball pitcher.
Yeah.
Right? Came here in 1997.
Yeah.
So it's over 25 years you've been here.
Crazy.
Right? And but your career as a pitcher, you were an all-star SEC pitcher, but your career got derailed, right?
It did, yeah. A couple of shoulder surgeries. So now, I guess in my business, I could have referred myself to the ortho guys. So the guy that did my surgery was the doc at the time for UF. He's now the team doctor for the Texas Rangers. So he's doing
Keith
a lot.
Meister.
Yeah, Keith Meister.
Keith was a good friend of mine when he was here.
So yeah, Meister's awesome. But it's just, I think being a part of Gainesville, you go through everything. You think, I'm going to be in the big leagues. I'm never going to stick around in Gainesville. This is not what it's all about. And then you kind of fall in love with the place. And, for me, both my parents went to Florida. So it was always kind of a no-brainer that this would be the place I went. I worked really, really hard to try to get here because obviously getting to play at UF is a pretty big deal. I got 4 or 5 other scholarship offers to go different places, but then once the UF one came, it was pretty much a no-brainer. We would come for Gator Growl always, just once a year. My parents would drive us up, and we'd do all that stuff and see the homecoming parade and get to be a part of all that. And I think my favorite memory is sitting in Gator Growl, and these take the programs and you'd crumble them all up and you'd have paper fights, and me as this 12-year-old kid just pegging people was always something really awesome. And then
they were doing that at the stadium at the time.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
Yeah, and it was almost full.
And they had like Robin Williams was there.
Seinfeld.
And,
Sinbad. Yeah, there's some
Bob
great
Hope
ones.
was there. They had, Gator Growl used to be really controversial.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Because they, people would fill the stadium and they bring their kids like you, right? And then all of a sudden it was like, oh,
it's not PG.
This is not PG. And so they'd hear about it. Actually, so this year they changed it. They did a concert with Jason Derulo over at the O-Dome.
Yep.
And that turned out great.
Good.
Do you know I took my grandchildren to that event?
Nice.
Yeah. And they were, putting their hands on their ears most of the time and stuff. They're like 6 and 8, but they still thought it was pretty cool. It was their first concert they'd ever been to, and there wasn't really anything X-rated about it.
Yeah, and they'll never forget it.
They'll never forget
being with Grandpa.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Well, being a part of all that and then getting to play here and obviously sticking around has been pretty fun.
So now you, I know that you are the broadcaster for the UF baseball games, right? Now, what's your role? I know I'm learning about, there's the color guy, there's the play calling guy, right?
So with baseball, you actually do both. And for many, many years, I worked with Mick until Mick retired a couple of years ago.
Mick Hubert,
the old voice of the Gators, yep. So Mick was great. He would do 6 innings of play-by-play. I would do 3 innings of play-by-play. And then when Mick retired from baseball after we won the national title in 2017, then I took over as the main guy. So now I'm the main broadcaster, and then I'll have a color guy come in, and we've used different people over the years. And then now with Sean Kelly coming in, the new voice of the Gators, he's done some baseball broadcasts with me as well. But yeah, so it's been really fun. I got to go to Omaha in 1998 as a player. And, that's like the Mecca. That's like what you always want. And we had such a great team that year. We were number 1 in the country, number 1 seed going into Omaha. And that was back in the day when there was the cheating bats and everybody's taking steroids. So the hitters were really good. Yeah. And we gave up double-digit runs in both games. We scored double-digit runs in both games, but we lost both of them. So 2 and out in Omaha. But then now as a broadcaster, with getting to go this past year, I've been 9 times as a broadcaster. So It's been pretty incredible for sure.
Was Andy Lopez the coach?
Andy Lopez was the coach, which Lopes was awesome. I think everybody's got different feelings about it. And for some people, he wasn't the right guy. But for me, I almost consider him a second father. He would yell and scream and do all the things, but it motivated you. And if you knew what he was trying to do and the message, like some people called him Bobby Knight and Spikes because of the way he was. But I'll quick little story. It was really fun. Is my junior year, I had the shoulder problems, and I didn't throw a bullpen all year. I just started on Saturdays. Her shoulder hurt so bad it was torn, but I was going to try to play through it and get through it. So we go up to Kentucky, and it's cold that day, and I throw 5 scoreless innings, and we're killing Kentucky. They weren't any good back then. It's like 8 or 9-0, and all of a sudden, the 6th inning starts. Shoulder, we scored a bunch, so the shoulder started tightening up a little bit. I was a little sore. So I give up a single to lead off the inning, then I think a double, so 2nd and 3rd, and I walk the next guy, and Lopeson starts coming out to the mound. And he's walking, slow walk that he would do, and he sticks out his hand, and he goes, "Give me the blank in baseball."
The blank in baseball.
And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm throwing good. Give me the blank in baseball." And I'm like, "Man, this stinks." I want to stay in there, so I give him the ball, start walking off the mound, and he says, "Hey, Dozo, you know what? If I wouldn't have had a vasectomy, I'd name my next kid after you. That's a heck of a job." And I didn't even know what a vasectomy was back then, so I'm like, what is he talking about? But no, he was such a great guy. We got to see him. We did a 20-year reunion for the team that won the SEC championship in 1998. He came back to town, and just so many people love the guy. But yeah, he really helped me with a lot of different things, even in the business world, just some of the lessons and life stuff that he taught you, and how to react, how to treat people, how to do all that other stuff. So, I think there's a lot of people that might think, hey, a coach is just getting you through. But, I mean, to me, he got me ready for life, and I really appreciate him for that.
Well, the Gator baseball program is awesome. I mean, we were one game from being, the world champion.
Yeah.
College World Series, champion, which I don't know if you knew this, but Abby Knight, who started working with me in 1979, was the president of the Gator Baseball Boosters Club.
Wow.
Twice.
Dang.
Okay. So at Meldon Law, right?
Yeah.
We always, she had great seats right behind the Gator dugout. We'd go to games. The secret was that a lot of the Gator boosters really like to drink beer during the game, and it was outlawed back then. Right. So even though they had seats, they would back up a pickup truck to left field, okay, and they would sit in the back of the truck drinking beer, watching the Gator games from left field.
And that was when, I never saw this, but there was a hill or something out in left field, right? That would go up a little bit.
Yeah, at the mat.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Neat story.
And I mean, these were like Al Hall, who was a reporter for the Gainesville. See, he was a sports reporter at the Gainesville Sun, and he was part of the crew. Nice. As a matter of fact, that was Abby's boyfriend.
Nice.
And so, but someday I'll have Abby tell you a story. She still works for Meldon Law. Let's see, from 79 to 2023, what's that, 44 years?
Yeah, incredible.
That's a long time for one franchise.
So you're doing something right.
We're doing something. Well, she tries to leave every week. She tries to retire, and and I go, no, Abby, you have too much institutional knowledge.
That's right.
So Gator baseball. There's a bunch of games. For those of you, we must have 30 home games or so.
Yep, 56 game regular season.
Yeah.
And then, about just 30 to 35 home games.
So you do every game?
Every game.
Okay. What about the away game?
It's a grind. Every game. Yep.
Oh, you got to
away.
Go. You got to go away.
Yep. Last year was more than 70 games, and each game's probably about 3 hours, and so it's a lot of time. But
how does the team travel?
Travels well.
Do they jump on a jet and go?
Yep, jump on a plane. Unless it's Georgia, South Carolina, Jacksonville. So it's about 5-hour bus ride. We'll usually bus, but fly everywhere else.
Because by the time you go to the airport,
correct.
And then if there's fog, you might not be able to land. So let's talk about that, because that's funny. So Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. And once a year we get to go with the football team. And this past a week and a half ago, we went to LSU with the football team.
Yeah.
And it was a night game in Death Valley at Baton Rouge. And the friggin' Gators were in the game in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was 38-35 at one point.
Yeah.
We were winning 28-24. Then, let's see, they scored 14 points. They got up to 38. Then we scored, and it was 38-35. This is in the friggin' fourth quarter. So we are in the game on the road against I think they were ranked number 12 or 13 or 14 at the time. Yep. I mean, a top-ranked team. And they rarely lose at home, and the Gators, were in the game, right? So by the time we lost the game, we faded. Our defense really faded strong at the end, and we just weren't able to keep up with them as far as scoring. However, by the time the team showered, got into the buses, drove to the airport, and got onto the plane, we were supposed to get back to Gainesville at 2:30. Mm-hmm. 2:30 in the friggin' morning. Yep. However, by the time we got loaded on the plane, it looked like the earliest we were going to get back was 3 a.m. And, we're in the plane. Everybody could feel us we're getting ready to land in Gainesville. And then as the plane's down to, 5 400 or 500 feet, it felt like.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the engines thrusted up, right?
Waking everybody up because you're tired.
Now, you must have had that experience before, right?
No, that's first time. Well, actually, earlier on a football trip this year, we had to divert to Jacksonville.
The Utah game.
Because the power was out. There was a storm in Gainesville, so there was no power at the airport, so you couldn't land either. So out of all the times I've been a part of the football broadcast and been traveling with the team, we've now had it happen twice this year when it's never happened before, and you were just on the unlucky trip.
So finish telling him what happened after that.
So after that, so you circle around, and then, everybody's groggy because it's almost 3 a.m, and they have on these Delta screens where you can actually see where you are and the flight pattern. And then the stewardess or whoever it was, captain, didn't come on the plane and say, hey, we're not landing. You just all of a sudden look at your screen and you're now heading to Orlando. And we're like, oh no, what's going on? So, but then remembering there must have been a problem at the airport. So then finally we land about 45 minutes later in Orlando, and it's now very late. And that's when they come on and tell us that we couldn't land, and there'll be buses coming to get you. And then
and so the buses weren't in Orlando, though. They were in Gainesville, which meant we sat on the tarmac for a couple hours.
Yeah, 2 hours.
While the buses came. And everybody was trying to figure out. First of all, on the bus, you have the whole team that's up front and the coaching staff. And Jeff's on the plane in the back. And, there's probably, 30 or 40 people that are not on the football staff.
Correct.
That are but we're all in the back of the plane. We're trying to what's going on, what's happening, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. Anyhow, we wind up landing in Orlando, and we're there on the tarmac for 2 hours. Now, the buses in Gainesville were dispatched to go to Orlando. So that's about an hour and 45 minutes, in the middle of the night because there's not much traffic. So what they didn't take into account, though, was that the buses are designed to take the players only back to the University of Florida,
Yep.
a 10-minute ride.
Yep.
Okay. Well, so they sent those buses. However, there was another 30 or 40 of us,
Yeah.
right, that they didn't account for, and they're trying to squeeze everybody into every single seat. Okay. They told I'm in the back of the bus, kind of where Jeff is. Dr. Pete was on there.
He was.
I said, now, Dr. Pete told me, this is Dr. Pete Delicato, who was the team doctor for many years. It was interesting because he came back and started talking with me, and he said, this has over my career. Now, remember, from 1978 until 2014 or something, he went on every trip,
Yeah.
football, basketball. Now, he told me fog had happened to him on a number of occasions.
Okay.
So he kind of,
Yeah, he's used to it.
He was used to the fog thing, right? What happens is when you get back late at night, 2 or 3 o'clock, that's when fog forms. We're usually sleeping at that time. However, if you get up in the morning at 7 or 8 o'clock, a lot of times you'll see the heavy fog. This was really heavy fog. They made an announcement that they were even thinking of flying back from Orlando to Gainesville, but that the fog wasn't going to clear up until 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, yep.
So anyhow, we finally, the buses are there. They tell us, they say, Jeffrey, you're on bus 1. Okay. I can remember that.
Yeah.
Except everybody's getting off the bus, and it took, 30, 40 minutes after the bus got. So by now, it's already 6 a.m. Okay. It's starting to get a little light. And they tell me, go on. But I get on bus 1, and there's standing room only. There's only one seat on the bus, okay? It's the front row, right-hand side, and who's there? Coach Napier.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think Coach Napier usually sits there and works on the way home.
He does.
On the bus,
Yep.
right? And a lot of times nobody sits there next to him.
Correct.
That's the tradition.
That's right.
Well, he must have felt sorry for this old son of a gun because he looks at me and says, Jeffrey, you can sit down in this seat. Okay. And then what was really funny was he says, this is not good that we have at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we have all these people standing in the aisle on bus 1,
Yeah.
including my son. But there was about 8 or 10 graduate assistants there. So he identified, well, those are the kids. They're young, and we'll get them back. We'll Uber them home or whatever.
Yep.
Okay, but they got to get off the bus because we're not going to make them stand for
2 hours.
2
yeah.
hours. Right? So he made me his assistant. He says he didn't want to stand up and start looking around. I said, Jeffrey, tell me count the people stand. So I said, there's 9 people standing. So this is amazing because here's the head coach. He's got a lot of stuff on. He calls one of his assistants, says, look, we got to get some people off the bus. And he took charge and made arrangements for every one of those graduate assistants to get off the bus, right? And what was funny is I knew what was going on. I did the head count for them, and then they're coming in. And one by one, these graduate assistants are getting off. And what was going on is he was telling somebody else to text them,
Right.
and tell them.
Yeah, you could see from my perspective in the back, people like looking at their phones, and then you're like, hey, and then it was like different people telling different people it's your turn to, make that happen.
So I was so impressed that Coach Napier was orchestrating that. I mean, he was doing it himself, and I was trying to make. I mean, we just got our ass handed to us in the game, right? Yeah. And so I started out by telling him some jokes and trying to lighten him up and tell him stories and stuff because that's what you do when a coach lost, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Talk about the game?
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't. Yeah.
I'm the one that has to interview him first after losses, and now certainly after this Missouri one I think that's the most dejected I've ever seen him after a game. And I mean, even for LSU, which, you were a part of, it's tough. I mean, the guy wants to really, really win. He cares so much. So, yeah, you can see
Well, that's a good point. And I want to get around to that for our Gator fans that are listening or watching. I am so high on the Gator team's development. I don't know if a lot of fans understand what it takes to turn around a program that had, the cupboard was bare as far as talent.
Good way to put it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When Coach Napier came in, I talked with Scott Strickland, and I said, well, how was the negotiation with Napier as far as his salary? He said, it was simple. He said, we told him what we wanted to pay him, and he said, that's fine. I said, well, what were the challenges? He said he was so focused in on building a team around him similar to what they have at Alabama and Georgia, that it took a while for Scott Strickland, who's, our athletic director, to kind of get his head around the amount of money that it was going to take to put together a first-class system.
Yeah, and you can see it. And judging by the plane, too, there's more people on those planes than there was ever before. But it is. If you want to be Alabama or Georgia, like you were mentioning, you have to assemble these types of people, and now you have NIL a part of everything, so you've got those types of coordinators and people involved. But I think the neatest part is just like you're trying to do with your team, you want to get the best of the best, right? That's what everybody's trying to do. So you've got to get better players here. In order to get better players, you've got to understand what it takes to get those types of players. And I think in hiring Katie Turner, who he stole from Georgia, she does a great job with some of the recruiting stuff because guess what? She knew what Georgia was doing. And if it was, okay, it's your birthday, and we used to have a handwritten card sent out from everybody, well, she knows that. So now, well, guess what? You're going to get a handwritten birthday card, but then 10 more from 10 other people. So if Georgia was giving you 10, Florida's giving you 20. And it's just making sure you understand how to build it, what to do. And you're right with the cupboard being bare. I mean, there's as much as you could see some of the success, there wasn't the types of recruiting, there wasn't the things involved that you needed to do to sustain a winning program here under the previous regime. So he had a lot to build, still has a lot to build, but you can certainly see him working that way. But I think he's been great from that standpoint. I mean, you're starting to get 5 stars that were never even a thought of Florida being able to get. So he understands what to do. And I almost think if we didn't have NIL this day and age, he would be even better because he is so genuine. He's so good at what he does. He knows how to sell a program. I think the leadership that he brings and what he's doing now, and just even trying to keep the locker room and players together with all this adversity and losing 4 games in a row, he is that motivator. And I mean, it when you listen to some of these speeches, like I want to go run and jump through a wall for the guy. I mean, that's how much you truly believe in it. And hopefully that'll eventually get there because, again, I try to tell this through my show and everybody that talks. We all want the Gators to win, right? We're Gator fans, but nobody wants them to win more than Billy Napier. So he's going to do everything possible. Every decision he makes is for trying to make Florida a better program and a successful program. So you can certainly see it.
Yeah, I mean, Gator fans think that there's some magic bullet, right? That you hire this coach, and then in Colorado thought they had the magic bullet, right?
That lasted three games.
3 games, right. There's no magic bullet, Gator fans. Okay, okay. You have to. It's like building a business, right? You start by creating a team culture. You start by putting the right people in the right seats. We do it at Meldon Law.
Yeah.
Okay. We're here at Spurs Gridiron Grill. By the way, everybody listening, if you haven't been here, come and enjoy it. It's a museum and a great restaurant. And if you have been here, then I don't have to tell you anymore. It's a fun place to come. You'll see the head ball coach here frequently, and it's really great. So anytime you are building a business, anytime you're building a football program, there's certain building blocks that you have to install in that as a foundation. And I've been around Gator football now since 1970, and I think that you look at Spurrier, you look at what Urban Meyer did. Those guys, they started and they built up a program with building blocks, and they had, they each had their own style, but they were each incredible at building that team. Coach Napier, if we give him a chance, he can become the best coach in the SEC. I'm completely convinced of it. Saban is awesome. He may coach for another 10 years. He may be like me.
That's what he says. I was just going to say. He's like you. He just keeps going. That's awesome.
It's like, it's like,
if you can do it, do it.
I'm having a good time.
That's right.
He might win the national championship this year, right? I mean, if he beats Florida, if he beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, there's a compelling argument for them, both of them, to be in the playoffs. And so those are the kind of things, because Ohio State's going to play Michigan and Florida State we're going to beat.
That's right. Very good.
And then Washington's going to lose to Oregon, and then it always falls into place.
We should have brought you on the broadcast on that LSU trip, knowing all this stuff. That's great.
So, I don't know if you know this. I graduated from Ohio State.
I do.
So I always have 2 horses in the race. However, when Ohio State plays the Gators, I wear my Gator gear, and I'm always the only time I ever wore Ohio State gear was in the 2007 basketball Final Four, when Ohio State and Florida were both there, except Ohio State was on one side of the bracket and the Gators were
on the other.
And my college roommate from Ohio State flew down with Jim Trussell, who had been who was the coach at Ohio State, and he called me and says, "Look, I want you to come down, meet Coach Trussell, but he's really has an emotional problem right now about seeing Gator gear." He said, "Could you wear Ohio State gear?" Now, the Gators were playing the second game, so I brought a duffel bag, and I had 2 outfits.
Oh, that's awesome.
I wore my Ohio State outfit for the first to go down. I met Coach Trussell.
Yeah.
I introduced myself, and he looks at me and says, "Oh, you're the guy I've been hearing about." And so we chatted up for a while. I went back. I sat in the Ohio State section and rooted for them, and then I changed into Gator gear, and of course, we won our second national championship that year in a row, which is incredible. So getting back to what you're doing Gator baseball. With football, what have you been doing?
So football, I do the pregame show. We come on the air 3 hours early. So Tate Casey and I are the two guys. So Tate does the sidelines during the game, and we get everybody ready for the game. Little interviews and talking about a lot of different stuff for the prep, and then. So during the games, I'm the in-game producer, so to speak. So when Sean's doing his stuff, I'm the one watching the red hat and saying, hey, we're going to commercial break. And I've got a little magical button that I can push that only goes to his ear. So I'll tell him various things throughout the day and throughout the game and the broadcast and kind of doing that. And then I'll give him the readers for the sponsors and different things like that. And then he'll take a break at halftime. So Tate and I then do the halftime segment. So we'll recap the first half, look forward to the second half, and give some scores and different things like that. And then post game, I'm right there next to the TV crew. So once after a win, Napier gets interviewed, then I'm right there. I'll do the interview for the radio network, and then we'll go in the locker room and we'll interview some players and stuff for the post game show. So
you're doing football and baseball.
Yep, a part of the for the network. Haven't really ever done much with basketball because we were doing a show called Gators, and I just stopped last year. I was doing the PA for the women, and I still do the volleyball PA in the O-Dome.
Yeah, the volleyball team, they've been great over the years.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I remember when they first asked me, and I'll speak truthfully. I never went to a volleyball match when I was a student here. But we'd hang out with the volleyball girls because they were in the Lemoran Center. Like our locker rooms were right there. But I get to see them, so I just no reason to go to the games. And then they asked me to do it, and I go the first time. It's like, wow, what have I been missing? This is incredible. Not only are they beautiful, but they're very athletic. They're really good. Mary Wise has done such. I think she's up to like 28 SEC championships now or something like that. So it's
year
incredible.
After year. They lost their star player this year.
They did, and it's really hurt. Yeah,
and the team which would have been a top 4 team
easily
in the country,
yep.
Easily. Yeah. Now they're just doing the best they can getting through, but Mary Wise will bring in great talent and reconstruct a winning team.
Yep, for sure. So so get to be a part of that.
What about your radio show?
Yeah, and then a radio show every day, 4 to 6 with Pat Dooley, which is fun.
That's on 850 WRUF, 850 ESPN, and there's a FM signal.
Yep, 98.1 FM, and then you can always get the WRUF app, which a lot of people listen to. Because there's Gator fans that call throughout the country every day, and you're like, wow, how are they listening? But it's really easy. You just download the WRUF app, and then there's a listen live button. You press it, and you can hear us and be able to do that. So that's been a lot of fun.
Most people consume their radio now, either in their car or on an app. Mm-hmm. They're sitting there, in their office or move. People really love the Gators, and I think we'll finish the show on that note because y'all out there, I know you like to bitch and moan. However, you are in one of the greatest places in the world if you're a sports fan, and you better realize that and start going to the events. Baseball, we've got this Condon family, ballpark, which is just incredible. You must have been blown away when you saw that.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's like a Taj Mahal almost. It's a AA ballpark. That's how legit it is, and how great it is. I think facility-wise, it's interesting you mentioned that because I try to tell people that all the time. Obviously football rules the roost, right? Mm-hmm. I've been offered other opportunities to go different places, but then I sit back and I think, well, why would I want to go broadcast for a school? And you might get to do more, but you're going to be miserable with basketball or miserable with baseball or miserable doing another sport because just about every sport here is so incredible. There's a reason why they're top 5 in the country every single year in the All Sports Trophy and the amount of SEC championships. So you feel like when you go to a Gator event, it seems like 90% of the time they're going to be able to win it because that's how good all these other programs are.
Yeah. So we are really So we, in the SEC, University of Florida has won 260 SEC championships, and the number 2 school is somewhere around 157.
Yeah.
I think it's Tennessee.
It is
maybe.
Tennessee, yeah.
Okay. So just realize our good fortune and come and support the Gators. You will have a blast. It doesn't matter which sport. Gymnastics is incredible. Volleyball, women's softball. They're all
lacrosse.
Lacrosse, yeah.
And obviously what swimming and track and field have done with
we're winning
numerous
national
titles.
championships, right? And
and that's what's cool too is it's cool to get to see you every now and then walking around. But I mean, if you're on campus, you probably are walking by someone that was in the Olympics. Like that's what's nuts about it. It's like, oh man, I saw that person on television in the Olympics winning a dang medal. So, and then they're just normal people just like us back at University of Florida. But it's a really unique place for sure.
So let's end on that note on Meldon Law and Friends. We love the Gators. Jeff Cardozo, thank you very much for everything that you do to bring the Gators alive to the listeners who are trying to, follow the Gators and support the Gators in any way you can. They certainly need your NIL money because you got to pay to play.
That's right. That's what it's turned into. And thank you to everything that you do. I know it's really fun getting to all these events, and I normally see you guys there or Carrie's there. Or remember last year you guys threw out the first pitch of the game, and you still got an arm for an older guy, huh? I was proud of you for that.
Well, actually, Carrie's arm is stronger, but next time I do the first pitch, I'm going to throw it over the catcher's head.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'm going to just show everybody just how
what you really got.
Okay, well, thank you very much for watching and listening on Meldon Law and Friends, and we'll be back next week for a great show.